The following is a community affairs presentation from the Ulster County Health Department. This is the Healthy Ulster Radio Show, a weekly presentation exploring community health and sustainability with guests representing a broad spectrum of community partners working to make Ulster County the healthiest in New York State. This program is sponsored by the Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley in Kingston, a member of the WMC Health Network.
Hello and welcome to Healthy Ulster Radio. My name is Vincent Martello, Director of Community Health Relations for the Ulster County Department of Health and Mental Health, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Carol Smith. Healthy Ulster Radio is a program that looks at community health in all of its dimensions, and each week we'll be talking with guests and experts from a wide array of organizations and professions that influence the health, vitality, and sustainability of our community. And today's guest is our very own co-host, Commissioner of Health, Dr. Carol Smith. Hello, Dr. Smith.
Good morning, Vin. I'm very happy to be here today.
Good to have you here. We'll be talking to Dr. Smith about ZIKA and other mosquito-borne diseases. Given the warm weather and the approaching Summer Olympics, ZIKA certainly is a timely topic that we'd like to know more about. I'd also like to take a moment to remind everyone listening that the content of this program is for general education purposes only. If you have a question about your personal health concerns, please consult your own physician. Dr. Smith, we've all heard a lot about ZIKA in the media and online, and probably a fair amount of misinformation too. So let's examine the facts by starting right at the beginning. What is ZIKA, and when and where did it originate?
ZIKA is a virus. It is carried by mosquitoes, a certain type of mosquito, of the variety called Aedes mosquito. Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus are the two mosquitoes that are thought to carry this particular virus. The disease is not new. The virus actually has been known since the late 1940s and was initially discovered in Africa. The newness of it really is for this hemisphere. The disease has been spreading from South America up through Central America and the Caribbean at a great pace, and that is what caught the attention of the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control, the Pan American Health Organization, who began really stating that this is an alarming trend. And the other aspect of the virus that is particularly concerning is that it has been seen to be associated with a condition in the developing baby, the neonate, called microcephaly, where the child develops with a smaller than normal brain and skull casing. And it is believed to be linked to infection of the mother, the pregnant female, with this particular virus. So since we have been notified of the increasing numbers, and right now worldwide there are over 500,000 cases of Zika infected individuals, the CDC has been speaking with the state health departments, and the New York State Department of Health has responded very promptly, so that it basically has put together a ZIKA action plan for the state, and each county has been asked to put together a ZIKA action plan for our respective counties. And there are several layers to this plan, one of which is surveillance, so that we can track the presence of this particular variety of mosquito in our county by means of the placement of specialized traps in various places throughout our county to collect these mosquitoes, and then the mosquitoes will be tested up in the Wadsworth Laboratory in New York State for the presence of the virus. Right now, the number of Zika cases in New York State are all entirely due to travel. There is no locally acquired case of Zika. but the individuals have been infected through their travel to the Caribbean or to the Mexico, South America, etc. That number increases every day. We have probably close to about 150 cases in New York State, all of which are travel related. But so the state is tracking this very closely, as are we. So we will be doing trapping in Ulster County to look for these mosquitoes. We will be following any travel-related cases, and certainly if we find that there is a locally transmitted cases, we will activate our ZIKA action plan and literally jump into action in order to control the outbreak.
Is this something that's contagious, or something like, say, a disease that affects certain populations more than others, or is it pretty much?
Not necessarily. It's transmitted through the bite of the mosquito, and then the mosquito that takes its blood meal from an individual who the individual will have had the virus, because the mosquito will acquire it through the bite. And then when it goes to bite another individual, will be able to transmit the virus to that second individual. So that's the concern. The virus itself is what's called a flavivirus. Now, it's a technical term, but it is related to other mosquito-borne viral diseases. West Nile, dengue, chikungunya. These are diseases that are also seen throughout the southern hemisphere as well. And the difficulty with Zika is that it does take a very specialized kind of laboratory testing to identify it. The lab at Wadsworth, the New York State Laboratory at Wadsworth, is cutting edge. It always is in this regard. So it's able to test specifically for the Zika virus and differentiate it from the other types of viruses that these mosquitoes can carry.
Is there some kind of vaccine that's available for folks, or what happens if one, say, goes for testing and discovers that he or she may have Zika? What happens next?
Well, remember, the Zika virus is a virus, so by definition, antibiotics do not work against viruses. Vaccines do, and the vaccine is in the process of being developed, but it takes time to develop a vaccine. Eventually, I'm sure we'll have one. But the issue is the same mosquito that carries the Zika virus, and again, the vaccine would be specific for Zika, carries other diseases. So the best way to prevent getting sick from a mosquito-borne illness is prevention, and that would be the application of insect repellents such as DEET containing insect repellents available over the counter, believed to be safe for children and adults as well as pregnant women, to protect us from the bite so that we are protected against all of the diseases that a mosquito could potentially carry. The most concerning cases are in pregnant women, and right now the CDC and the state has developed a pregnancy registry for Zika infected pregnant women to follow their course of their pregnancy with the infection, and then the outcome certainly of the birth and the child who was born to a Zika infected mother. So we're most concerned about pregnant women. In fact, the CDC had issued a travel advisory warning pregnant women not to travel to Zika endemic areas, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. So while we wait for a vaccine, hopefully we'll see one, we can protect ourselves by applying insect repellents.
And how concerned do folks have to be, say, right here in Ulster County or in our region? I mean, if you have a couple, for instance, who's thinking about getting pregnant or is a little bit worried, what's the immediate threat, if any?
Again, we're following that. This is definitely a work in progress. So first of all, we have to determine with some degree of certainty whether or not this particular variety of mosquito can successfully survive in the climate of Ulster County. And that would involve wintering over. So if we had particularly cold winters, that may, affect the population in our area. However, we're not sure, so we're watching for it and testing for it. We really don't think that it's going to be a great problem for our county, but again, we're going to be very proactive and look for it and certainly advise people, because we do have county residents who travel to these areas where Zika is endemic and are at risk for getting infected when they go off on vacation. But what we would advise folks to do are some other preventive measures around the household to empty any containers of standing water. This particular mosquito loves to breed in these containers, can be small as coffee containers, as well as the recesses of trees and what have you. The state has also developed a program where they make available to county residents, state residents really, mosquito dunks. And this is a type of biological control measure. These dunks contain larvicides specific for mosquitoes. You could put the dunk in an area that may be a small pool of standing water. It's effective for about 30 days. And these dunks are available locally in garden center stores, but the state also has some that are free if someone wishes to secure one through that route. We also have these dunks available to us from the state at the county health department. So if an individual is interested in obtaining one, to call us and we'll be happy to supply you with a mosquito dunk kit.
And we'll be mentioning that contact information at the close of the show, along with some more preventative measures right after this break for our sponsors, and we'll be back with Dr. Carol Smith.
The excitement continues to build. The mission of Health Alliance is now made even stronger by our new partnership with the Westchester Medical Center Health Network. By combining a legacy of community-based care with WMC Health, we are building a stronger, healthier, and more vibrant community. We'll be collaborating to provide preventive, primary, specialty, and advanced care right here where you live, where we all live. Health Alliance and WMC Health, advancing care here. Visit HAHV.org to learn more.
If you've just joined us, you're listening to Healthy Ulster Radio. My name is Vincent Martello, Director of Community Health Relations for the Ulster County Department of Health and Mental Health. And my guest today is my co-host, Dr. Carol Smith, Ulster County Commissioner of Health and Mental Health. Hello again, Dr. Smith.
Hello, Vin.
So earlier in the show, we talked about some of the preventative measures that are available. In terms of testing, say if a woman or her partner have been to an area where Zika is prevalent, how do they go about getting tested? What is the protocol for that?
We recommend that they go to their physicians. A pregnant woman should certainly speak to her obstetrician. Doctors have been made aware of the problem of Zika, and they know that what they need to do. Before, actually, just recently, the commercial laboratories have just started to develop the technology to test for Zika. So the regular commercial labs, LabCorp and Quest and Viacor, are now able to test for it. Prior to that, the sample had to be sent to the Wadsworth Laboratory up in Albany for testing. As I said in the first part of the show, this laboratory has always had cutting-edge technology available and develops it as is needed. So one of the premier labs in the country. But certainly their doctor can give them a prescription to go to the laboratory to have the test conducted, and they can be tested for Zika. If there's any question, the New York State Laboratory at Wadsworth can do further testing to further define the person's whether or not that virus is present in the individual. So certainly starting with their an individual's personal physician. The disease, the virus, is known to be sexually transmitted as well. So a woman's partner may be able to transmit it to her if that partner has traveled to the Zika endemic areas. That is something to be mindful of, and that partner can be tested if there is concern that the travel has resulted in a Zika infection.
And have the local docs been made aware of what the symptoms of Zika are, or the kinds of questions that they might ask a patient who walks in?
Well, certainly travel history is a key question for sure. The symptoms of Zika can vary. Fever, a rash, conjunctivitis, or a pink eye type of reaction are possible with Zika. Generally speaking, the symptoms from Zika are not that severe, and they even may even be overlooked in the individual who has the infection. So the severity of the condition really does lie with the ability of it to be transmitted to a developing fetus, and that's where our prime concern lies. And if a woman tests positive and she is pregnant, her pregnancy will be followed with serial ultrasounds and other testing to follow the development of that baby during the course of its gestation.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned earlier that there are other diseases that are spread by mosquitoes. What are some of those, and how do they either resemble Zika or perhaps are different from Zika?
Well, they're somewhat different. Dengue, chikungunya, West Nile virus, they're all flaviviruses that are similar to the Zika virus. The symptoms vary with those different diseases and vary in severity again. With dengue and chikungunya having some severe components, but again, there's a continuum of fever, rash, muscle aches type of thing to more severe symptoms. So individuals may manifest these symptoms differently. And again, if there is concern, speaking to the physician, talking about travel history, the doctor can then order the appropriate test and take it from that point on.
Now, do folks, just generally who might be, hearing all this information and might be perhaps, worried or maybe even unduly worried, is this something where you have to avoid being outdoors and kind of cloister yourself, or can families enjoy the outdoors and still be safe?
I think certainly families can enjoy the outdoors and be safe. But again, there are certain things that one can do to protect oneself from infection. Again, wearing mosquito repellents, wearing clothing if you're really in heavily mosquito-infested areas that is treated with an insect repellent can be helpful. Making sure that, at least in the home front, again, your screens are intact and you empty standing containers of water, that sort of thing. So, the threats there are relatively low at this point for our county, which is the good news. It may be somewhat higher as you move further south to the more southern counties of the state as well as to other states. But right now, because of the travel connection and the numbers of people in New York State that travel, New York State is a major travel hub on an international level. So right now, the number of travel-acquired cases in New York, it teeters between Florida and New York as being first or second with the greatest number of cases. But, those are things that the New York State Department of Health is well aware of, and that's one reason why we're being proactive in having an active Zika action plan and making sure that we're on the watch for the mosquito its presence in Ulster.
Mm-hmm. And is the health department and other county departments working pretty closely with the federal government and the state government and CDC, for instance, the New York State Department of Health, and coordinating these efforts and keeping an eye on things?
Absolutely. There is a wonderful working relationship between our county health department and other county health departments with the New York State Department of Health. We speak to each other regularly. We hold weekly calls. We share information and updates. So we're all very much aware of what's going on in surrounding counties and throughout the state. The state has a very good partner in the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, and there's a great communication line, a great exchange of information between these agencies. So we definitely have a great collaboration with other health departments.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of, say, other local health departments that may be further south where they might be encountering some of these things, what kinds of things are they doing down in those places?
The other counties that are in much more mosquito plagued areas, as it were, Long Island and what have you, just by nature of their geology and geography, their terrain, their swampy areas, their marshy areas, their bays, etc., are more prone to having larger mosquito populations, and as such, they have had throughout the years an aggressive mosquito control plan with not only larvicide applications, but in times of spraying with the adults. But their problem with mosquitoes is much greater than is ours, just by nature of the county's terrain.
And this mosquito is, or the suspected mosquito species regarding Zika are, from what I've read, not exactly the same in terms of mosquitoes that carry other diseases. They may or may not be, but that these particular mosquitoes tend to breed in smaller, more localized areas.
And they tend to be active daytime biters. I almost forgot to say that, and that's an important difference. The mosquitoes that we've been used to dealing with in the past traditionally start biting more aggressively at dusk and the evening hours. These mosquitoes bite throughout the day, and that's a difference. They also just physically look a little different. They have striped legs and bodies. There are pictures of them online. We have a picture on our website so you can see what they actually look like, but they are daytime biters.
So if they were to be here, like say, you mentioned that the department is doing active surveillance, but how would like say an ordinary person or a family, if they were, say, recreating in some place where these mosquitoes might be or whatever, how would they maybe suspect that they could be around? Would be aggressive biting or during the day or something?
That would be
like
part of it. Certainly, we are transparent, and as information becomes available, we will make it known. Our website is a very good resource, a very good tool, and I suggest that you definitely visit it. Also, the New York State DOH ZIKA information line is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and that number is 1-888-364-4723. And
are there state and CDC sites as well? I think you just can...
Absolutely. Go online. New York State Department of Health has a very active ZIKA line or ZIKA information path, as well as the CDC and our county website.
And I think as in all potential disease conditions, prevention is always the best medicine in terms of just taking the common sense steps, right, to prevent disease. And in this case, it would be keeping your screens in good repair, right, and cleaning your gutters and eliminating any containers of water around your home, and, as you mentioned, wearing insect repellent, those types of things.
Exactly. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Right. Very good. Well, those contact numbers again for the New York State ZIKA information line: 1-888-364-4723. You can also go to the New York State Department of Health ZIKA prevention website. You can just do it by searching NYSDOH ZIKA, or you can go to cdc.gov/ZIKA. All great sources of information. You can go to ulstercountyny.gov/health for our health department site, and you can get free non-toxic biological dunks that destroy mosquito larvae without harming animals and plants and other people. Those are available at the Ulster County Department of Health, 239 Golden Hill Lane in Kingston, right up in the Golden Hill complex. And we're kind of winding down on the time we have for today. Our guest, is our very own co-host, Dr. Carol Smith, Ulster County Commissioner of Health and Mental Health, who always has great information to share, and great information to share with the community, and we're just very fortunate to have her on board, helping to keep all of us healthy and protected, and we really appreciate all of her efforts and all of the great professionals who work in public health. So thank you very much. That's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to contact us, please do so. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Our email address is healthyulsterradio@gmail.com. Again, healthyulsterradio@gmail.com. If you want more information on any of these subjects, ZIKA or otherwise, or just have questions that might not have been answered today, please don't hesitate to contact us. And don't forget to tune in next week at the same time, at the same day, for more great information that you can use to help keep your family and community healthy and strong with Healthy Ulster Radio.
You've been listening to the Healthy Ulster Radio Show, a community affairs presentation from the Ulster County Health Department, sponsored by Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley in Kingston, a member of the WMC Health Network. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us for another edition of the Healthy Ulster Radio Show next week.